Hello, everyone. Welcome to this 3-part series. I'm so honored that you're here. I'm just so honored that you are taking care of yourself and that God, universe, is speaking through me in order to really help and guide you on to your path. So thank you for trusting me. Thank you for everything that you're going through, everything that you are here to receive yourself. And my prayer is that through this transmission, through the way that I'm sharing, I speak in a very energetic place. And so I'm really speaking from my experiences and really speaking from what this container needs to be created for and held. And so for the collective that I'm sharing this with, and my prayer is that you really soak in what resonates and that everything else that doesn't resonate, that you just let it go and let it go. And so instead of just nitpicking, just kind of allow yourself to receive and the goodness from this transmission and the love. And so, yeah, just I'm going to pray. God, use me as a vessel for our time together. This person that is here listening, my prayer is that they will be in devotion to what they are creating in their lives, in service to the greater whole. And my prayer is that as this person's listening, that they can fully receive themselves and what it is that I'm sharing for the collective. Amen. Ashe. Thank you so much for being here. And this is something that I feel I needed to birth through me. And so let's just dive right in. And so what I want to start off with is self-love is such a tricky area. It's a, a lot of people would say self-love is, nurturing yourself. And the shadow aspect of it is, or that people would say, oh, you just, when you're on this journey of loving who you are, you're going to get people, you're going to reject people. And you're going to get rejected if you pull your energy back, or this journey of really having self-love for yourself is a journey of having boundaries with people that you absolutely adore, but you know that you want to be kind, you want to live in a place of love, and not gaslighting, or instead of responding in a really intense way of let's say like not acknowledging someone's feelings. You really want to come from a place of the heart, an emotional awareness and presence. And not saying you can't ever feel like excited or passionate about what it is that you want to share and express. It's so beautiful to be alive and be so passionate about what it is that you're here to create and express. And also, self-love means to really let go of a treatment that you do not want to resonate with. You always have the option to resonate with that. However, you choose not to resonate with that because you desire more peace in your life. you desire more connections of that are more abundant and exciting and joyful and expansive, and living in a place where you know, well, if you have the privilege to be able to have create, um, living from that place of joy and expansion. And so inviting those type of relationships where people are doing the work of, creating a more joyful life and more abundant life, versus a life of fear and anxiety and not believing in themselves, or gaslighting, or um, you know just maltreatment. I'm going to share a story, and um, uh, that might resonate with this, and maybe you might resonate with it as well. And so it's coming from my heart. The how I learned this is not is through my experiences, my real experiences. And so something that I've learned over the years is, you know, this last couple of weeks I spent time with my family. My car died. I was in the process of getting a new car, and I decided to spend time with my family. I haven't seen them in a while, and they live about 40 minutes from me. And I decided to spend time with them. And through that time, I forgot. I forgot the boundaries I used to have with them, because where they are on their journey of evolving and being the best people that they can be. We all are doing our best, and also there's levels and layers to awareness and wanting to show up and wanting to do the work. And also, I notice that when I'm showing up and doing my own work, think that I'm being in love, and heart space, when I'm in those creation spaces, a little side tangent, they start to show up. However, I spent 2 weeks with my family, and I noticed myself start to forget to have those boundaries the more time I spent with them, because the heart is so powerful, such a powerful place. And when I'm in the heart with my friends or anyone that I love, it's such a beautiful place of unity. And also, there's still discernment and knowing and hearing people's stories of where they're at in their lives, and just being aware of where people are at in their lives and how they speak about themselves and how they speak about what it is that they are creating, and how they speak about their limitations, or their, in a way of, is this really fear or is this love? And so, I have those with myself, but it's just this awareness. And, um, you know, for example, like, I want to live in the most abundant life where I'm creating, my reality, not just co-creating with God my reality, but in a way that's full of love, and allowing myself to feel my emotions, allowing myself to feel. And so, coming back to the story, I spent 2 weeks with them, and they get triggered in different ways, and the way that they respond, I noticed myself, being like, you know what, I need to go on a walk. I'm gonna leave the room because I don't want to be responded to in an intense anger or yelling way. And I just don't want that for myself. And so I would leave the room, and and it was really hard because I was living with them, and so it's like, how can I create, not just living with them, I chose to, I could have gone home at any time, but I wanted to spend time with that, and I just felt like I needed to be there. But I did have a choice to leave. I think so. Learning what I learned through that experience was, I adore my family, and you know, it's okay to have healthy boundaries with people. I remember at one point, my mom was like, "You don't even have to be here, and this is my house, my rules." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh," like, because of how threatened she felt. And so, you know, I love my family. However, as an adult, as someone that is a 32-year-old, it's so important for me to see my family. I want to be friends with them and also see them in a way that is a friend, and a friend that we can have boundaries with, you know? So basically, I was there for 2 weeks, and then I got my amazing car, which I'm so grateful for. And then after that, my sister did something that I got really upset about, and I felt like there was some trust there that was broken. She lied, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I am so mad you lied. And then I'm like, I have so much compassion for her because of how we were raised and where we come from, of like the different neglect that we experience as kids. And so there's a lot of compassion there, and also noting like, okay, well, I adore you. I'm still going to talk to you, but not in the same way that I desired, because it was a flat out lie, and I I want to be with people that I trust and not lying. And that's what I want. I don't want to experience that. And so, now after that, this was recently, I came back to my home, started regulating my nervous system, exercising, eating well, and doing all the things that I really enjoy doing that feel good, and back to my center. Um, you know, I learned to have those boundaries, um, while like having those boundaries, and also noticing where I'm like, you know what, I'll be still kind and send a nice text message that's like, hey, there's a recipe that, I am looking at and interested in, and how can I, so like small talk or little things, but not like my whole soul, my whole pouring of my soul of, asking advice from my sister like I was before, because she's on a level and awareness of her own journey. And because that trust was broken, we can still repair it, but just understanding where she's at, you know, um, says a lot about them, and like where they're currently at. And so maybe down the road, if she's while I'm continuing to do my work, I know eventually she will, because that's just how it works when we do our work, when we're showing up and receiving ourselves, and also learning from ourselves when we are aware. It really impacts everyone else to show up in their own unique way. And so that is the beauty of this work, when we are having self-love and respecting and honoring ourselves through, like, let's say, exercising or raising our vibration in a way of being around people that are kind-hearted, honest and real, but still in a way that's with love, or grounded, or um, that's not attacking, so, and when we are in those states with ourselves and taking our time for ourselves and loving ourselves, we will attract those people. And I have a dear, dear friend that I adore, and we've been friends like soul sisters. And we've been walking this path um, together this past year. Um, we have the same birthday, and it's just been really beautiful to really witness our relationship blossom. And I would say this is like a newer friend, um, as in the last year. However, it's so nourishing because we're both feeding into our souls, feeding into our desires of how we want to co-create together. Not just living in this fear. And so that's something I want to talk about in the next video, is about desires. But talking about this, I'll just say this now, is that when we are really connecting with our desires and what we want instead of what we don't want, there's so much beauty in that, and that creation. And so, for example, you know what? I'll save it for the next video, just so that I can get even more deep into the desires. But it's just been so, so beautiful to witness this beautiful, profound friendship of really giving and receiving to one another, from our hearts, from our souls. And yeah, and so thank you so much for this is part one for the self-love, and I hope that you can really soak up this transmission. Yeah, so I'll close out with a little prayer. Spirit God, thank you so much for this transition of a transmission. And as I close the field of this part one of this container, may this person take what resonates and leave the rest. And with love, amen. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one.